Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to step inside the box, the Pandora's box. All right, guys, we are here. Thank you guys so much for joining. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got so first of all, hopefully you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. Depending on what team you were rooting for, you're either really happy today or you're really pissed off. So I don't know. But anyways, so what do we got here right now? So first of all, this is a sponsored video by TomTop. So they probably want me to do, produced reviews, but I'm going to do this thing live. So I want you guys to be interactive and ask me questions about this. So I've reviewed a bunch of Pandora's boxes. As a matter of fact, we did. If you guys are fans of the show, then you probably know the One Up Weekly. We did a whole entire show dedicated to Pandora's boxes. So I just wanted you guys, if you're new to Pandora's boxes, maybe go back and watch that. Another great resource for all things Pandora's box is going to be my buddy Wicked Gamer and Collector. He's got a great channel, good friend of mine, so go check him out too. But what are we looking at right now? So this is, here, I'll get the screen here for you real quick. But, I always do that, man. This is the Pandora's 9S Plus. So there are a bunch of these available. This one is actually a clone of this one right here. So it's actually a clone of the Pandora's Box 6. So I'm going to kick it over to this one other camera really quick so you guys can see a little bit more of what's going on. But yeah, so this guy is a clone of this Pandora's Box 6 board. So kind of interesting. They eliminated some of the features of the Pandora's Box 6 in this unit. So for those of you that don't know, these things come in different various shapes and sizes. So this happens to have one of these in it, but it's not the Pandora's Box 6. It's the 9S Plus, which is actually based on this board. So I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. But first, I'll talk about what you're going to get in the box itself. So you're going to get the actual unit itself. You're going to get this guy. Well, what the heck is this? You're probably wondering, why am I getting this like USB to USB cable? This is so you can connect this to like a PlayStation, Xbox 360. It doesn't support the PS4. It supports like the PS3 and the Xbox 360 to make this a fight stick. But, that's just an option. I never use it that way, but it's in there. It also has, this thing does have VGA out, so they give you a VGA cable, which is cool. And then they also give you an HDMI cable. So kind of cool. Now, these are really good for someone that wants to just have like a plug and play fight stick, right? Someone that just wants to, have access to like 2,000 games, all self-contained in a unit like this. I'm going to give you like a little bit of a view of it real quick so you can see what's inside. So on first glance, you're going to see, it's got your buttons. These are Sanwa clone buttons. And it's got your joysticks. Now, the one thing that you'll notice right away on this, which is kind of weird, is it actually has, I'm going to try to get the camera zoomed in on it a little bit, but it actually has circular gates, which is kind of weird. You don't really see many of these days. It's usually going to be a square gate or an octagonal gate, or octagonal, one of them. I don't know how you I don't know the proper way to say that. Someone could correct me if you want. But anyway, so that's a little weird for me. So some right off the bat, I would maybe change those to square gates, but we're talking like a couple dollars for things like that. The buttons are going to be your typical run-of-the-mill China brand Sanwa clone buttons, which are fine usually for stuff like this. These things aren't that expensive. And then you have, Sanwa clone sticks. Now, these Pandora's boxes are usually pretty crappy from the stick perspective. Usually they have to be replaced. These don't feel terrible. They're a little loose, but you could always fix that putting like a 4-pound spring in or something like that. The other thing you'll notice is the main board right here. So as I was showing you earlier, if you look, it's kind of interesting. So the cool thing about these boards, if you bought one of these fight sticks, is that they are interchangeable. So they wired them in such a way that this wire pinout will match the wire pinout of the Pandora's Box 6. So if you bought this and didn't like it, you could actually interchange them. That does fall through to something like this as well. So you have like the 9. So these actually could be put inside these devices, which is really cool. So, if you guys look at my video, the One Up Weekly, I actually did showcase one of these boards, but it's a new one that has Wi-Fi connectivity and all that. So kind of cool. So like you can buy this and use it for various different purposes. It comes with this little LED strip. You can unplug it if you want, but it just kind of has like a pulsing effect. And then, you know, inside there's really not much to look at. It's just the main board itself. The one thing they did that's kind of interesting is they took the top off of the Pandora's box, like the actual cover, which is kind of interesting. So they gave you a place to mount it. So this is actually a main board without the top. So it makes it kind of easy to interchange the boards and put new ones in and stuff like that. All right, so now we can go, you know, oh, and by the way, they do include a speaker. So if you want, you can actually do that. Now, I'll show you in the settings, because the way this one came is it automatically was using the speaker versus HDMI out for audio. So I had to switch that in the settings because I wasn't getting HDMI audio out. I was only getting the speaker out. So we can show that in a second. And then on the back, you can see like they're kind of versatile because they come with you get your USB ports. But again, these, so here's something where, like I said before on my live stream, if you watched it, these can get pretty confusing because on the Pandora's Box 6, this was used to load games. On this is not capable. So it's not capable of loading games, but you can use this to connect as a fight stick to like your, you know, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. And then there's a setting switch. There's the volume. So if you're using that into a speaker, you can adjust the volume, but it does have a VGA out as well, which is kind of an interesting addition to have something like that. They don't always have, you know, a VGA out. So kind of cool, but you know, then they have HDMI, which you can pass everything over HDMI. Now, the thing about these that's interesting, especially this one, is we'll get into the menu system right now. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pop that up. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just figure out where I put that. Where did I put it? All right, there we go. So now that we're at the menu, let's just go to the menu system to see the options real quick. Like, what does this thing look like and what options do I have? Because someone asked in the chat, do you have scan lines? This one does not have scan line capabilities. So, oh, God, it'll play this ungodly music. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me mute that really quick. It plays this crazy music. It's like, hello. It's actually... Welcome back to another episode of Lifestyles of the Rich and Retro. Today we're going to be looking at the Pandora's Box. These Pandora's boxes come with the very best buttons and the very best controls. There's actually no buttons and controls that rival quality such as this. It comes directly from China in a weird, oddly wrapped package that looks like a bomb, but I promise you it is not a bomb. Alright, sorry. I'm probably going to get in trouble. They're never going to send me anything ever again. So just know that basically Tom Top's never sending me anything after this. So thanks, guys. It's all your fault. So, okay, so when you go in the menu, you've got the test menu, which will let you test the buttons and stuff like that. You can set different button configs if you don't like that particular button config. You have a couple different things here. So system configurations has some things that I think are interesting. The quality optimizations, if you guys are familiar with this, it's like a way of smoothing the pixels. So I don't like this. It's like a pixel smoothing effect. I tend to shut this off. But again, people have asked, does this have scan lines? Now, some of the newer Pandora's boxes do. This one doesn't. So unfortunately, you don't get that. There's a couple other options here, but they're not really ones that you guys are going to care much about. Game settings, so you can actually go in here and tweak the difficulty. You can edit the games list. So if you wanted like certain games, you know, with 202 pages of games, you might want to eliminate some of the pages. I'm going to check, by the way, in the chat in a minute if you guys have questions. And then, you know, there's just some other really like basic things like bookkeeping. If you were going to put this in an arcade, and you know, because you could put the arcade board, you know, the main board into an actual arcade, you can do things like, you know, track credits and stuff like that as well, but that's not going to be something we care about for this. So I'm just going to do save settings and reboot. I didn't actually change anything. Actually, I think it'll allow me to go back. Maybe it won't. All right. Actually, it won't. All right. So I'm going to do save settings and reboot. I think maybe if I select no, it goes back. Oh, still doesn't. Okay. So it's going to reboot the machine really fast. This one does boot up relatively quick. A lot of these machines have like these crazy big splash screens with like long boot menus. This one doesn't have that. Another thing I didn't mention is it does come with some extra buttons should some of these break. But like I said, these are Sanwa clone buttons, so they're easy enough to replace. I'm going to actually, real quick, I see that my camera on the table is actually making a little bit of a weird pulse. So let me just, it's probably auto-focusing. Let me just shut that off really quick so that it doesn't bug the crap out of you like it will me, but I'm super ADD, so I'll be staring at that the whole time going, why is this thing pulsing? All right, so yeah, it comes with the buttons too, so there you go. Now, the interesting thing about this is, you know, like I said, it's a 6 clone. And the quality of it is okay, right? You're not going to get the best parts. Just know that. You're not going to get like the best, sticks and buttons, but it's good for the price. You could just say it's decent for the price. So one thing that is interesting about this that a lot of the Pandora's boxes don't have, this one happens to have it, is if you hit the start button right here, you'll actually get an index mode. This is actually kind of cool because you can break it down for, like, if I want to just see my fighting games. By the way, this is the A button right here. If I press the A button, it just shows me just the fighting games. And the fighting games are identified by this like weird, the two swords there. Action games have a flag. So action games are going to be like your side-scrolling beat-em-ups. You'll have things like Metal Slug, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. There's a mix of things here. There's actually like, you get Mega Drive or Genesis games. There's Neo Geo games. There's various different systems on here. A lot of MAME stuff. It's interesting because there's a couple of games that aren't what you'd think. They look like they'd be the arcade versions, but they're actually the actual console versions. But anyways, and there's also a lot of duplicates, just so you know. So I'm gonna go in real quick and just show you guys a couple of the games, and I'm glancing at the chat from time to time if you see me going over there. I wanted to show you guys this because I thought this was interesting. Now, I actually didn't test this game prior, but of course, you guys who know me really well, I love all things Streets of Rage. So I'm going to go over and look at that really quick because I'm very curious as to, how that plays on here. Because a lot of times the Genesis emulation on stuff like this is terrible. So let's see, I think it was game 583. And then we'll go to like some of the arcade stuff in a minute. All right, Streets of Rage 2. I'm going to put the sound back on. In the main menu, there's no music. It just has like this noise that it makes when you change, from one game to another. So, all right. I bet the audio is not going to work now. I've had this problem where when I reboot this thing, the audio stops working through my Elgato, which would really be a bummer because then you guys won't hear anything. But if that happens, I have a contingency. I have a contingency plan for that. RetroRalph is always thinking about ways to... All right, there's no sound. Hold on. Hold, please. What was my fix for that? What was my fix for that, guys? I don't even remember. I thought I had a contingency plan, but I don't think I really did. All right, let's see. Maybe that... Oh, that definitely didn't fix it. Oh, man. Okay, guys, let's see. This is why having the live stream sometimes... Oh, that didn't work. Where are we going here, guys? Oh, boy. No, brother. This is what happens when you do stuff live. You do it live. Okay, give me one sec, guys. I think I got it. All right. Aha. Okay, well, first of all, I don't know if you guys can hear that. The audio is actually terrible on this game, but sometimes it is. Oh, shoot. I'm actually playing right now. Yeah. So this is probably not a good example. I probably shouldn't have showed you this game. So we're gonna get out of this because this is gonna be a bad experience for us. We don't want to have a bad experience. We want to have a good one, right? So let's get out of that. We'll go to I think we'll do... Let's do Metal Slug 4. I feel like Metal Slug 4 is a great game. A lot of people play those on systems like this. And then we'll do... Actually, you know what? Screw that. We're going to go straight to Street Fighter 2. Because I think Street Fighter 2 is like one of those staples. I know a lot of people are going to want to play that. They're going to want to play probably a good Mortal Kombat, right? You're going to want to see how those play. And keep in mind, I am a terrible Mortal Kombat player, but... Play Pong. There you go, yeah. Yeah, okay, Streets of Rage 2 is a bad example on it. There's no Beats of Rage. I got that question in the chat. These things aren't bad for what they are. You'll see in a second. They're not too bad. Like Street Fighter will play halfway decent. All right, I'm going to put the volume up a tiny bit so you guys can hear the game volume a little bit better. There we go. All right, let's do it. I'm going to look right here. I got multiple TVs, but I'm going to look over here. Hopefully the buttons are mapped right. Even if they're not, I'll blame myself sucking for that. See, these circular gates are weird. Like, see, you can't really get Hadoukens off very good on these circular gates. But here's the thing, if you don't used to circular gates, you kind of have to, like... You kind of have to train yourself to play with a circular gate. Ah! Oh, the buttons are mapped weird. Hold on. Don't ook-skoy me. Alright. Ukskoi! Ukskoi! I don't even know if that's what he's saying, but it sounds like it. I've never known what he said the whole time. But, you know, it plays decent, and I could probably remap the buttons. I think the high punch, let's see. I'm going to probably die trying this, but I think some of the punches are... Oh, no. Yeah, see, like, this should actually be hard punch, but it's not. It's a kick. But that's easy. That's easy stuff that you can fix in the menu. See, I can't get a... It's weird. Actually, you know what I was going to talk to you guys about? If it, I bought the... shit. See, I can't... circular gates are weird, man. That's an easy fix. It's a couple bucks. But, I mean, the fact that I can't get Hadoukens off with a circular gate is pretty lame. Seriously? There we go. Alright, let's kill it. Let's finish this guy off. Let's finish him off with a lame... Oh, no! Alright, cool. We're respectable there. Respectable. So, yeah, I wanted to mention on the aspect ratio. So these things, the Rexer show asked about aspect ratio. So that's a really good question. This particular one forces you into 16:9 aspect ratio. Some of them, the newer ones, I can't remember what specific models, some of them will actually let you change the aspect ratio. Just know there's some things going into this you need to know. Fixed aspect ratio, no save states on this guy. There is the search function that I showed you right here, right, where you can break down shooting games, fighting games, sports games, things like that. So you do have that capability. But like the 9S is a clone of the 6, and they took out some functionality. So I mentioned this before. You can't add games from with the SD card. Where if you look at the actual raw board on the 6, you know, the standard 6, this USB, you can add games on it. So you can add 2D games and stuff like that, PlayStation 1 on here. So that is not on this. So you can see, you know, this is the raw board here, just outside of the case, but it's a 6S clone. So you're kind of limited to what you can do, which is kind of unfortunate. So I wanted to show you guys... you have to be used circular gates like circular. Yeah, so it does have circular gates. I just don't know why it does. I would put a square gate on this. That's what I'm used to. I play better with square gates. There's like this huge opinion on people that like to use octagonal gates or octagonal, however that's said. I don't like those at all. So I would prefer a square gate. I feel like I play a lot better with square gates. I don't know. It's just it's all an opinion thing to me. What you want to use. I think it's preference. More than anything else. Some people play well with a shorter throw. Some people like a longer throw. It's really just a matter of what you want. And again, those are like super cheap things to like upgrade. So it's not like that's a huge deal if it's something you wanted to change. All right, I'm going to quickly go to a couple more games. I wanted you guys to see Metal Slug on here. Those are always fun. There's always a decent amount of Metal Slug games on these things. I think they have like... So Metal Slug is in the 500s. I'm going to include a video below. My buddy Wicked Gamer and Collector actually made an entire playlist that shows every single game on here. So if you're interested to see what all the games are, he has a video and I'll link it down below. He's a good friend of mine, super cool. He actually reviews a ton of these things. And, you know, so this is also an option. This is the weird one. So you can do auto fire options when you boot up. But he's a good friend of mine, reviews a lot of these things. I have a whole closet filled with these things. I just never really feel like they're worth reviewing. I'll have a link in here because a lot of them are the same, right? They're like the same things over and over again. They just duplicate they duplicate the games and stuff like that. So now keep in mind, sometimes when you get these out of the box, you don't like the way the buttons are mapped, but that's all things that you can adjust. Also, I always like to throw the disclaimer out there for Metal Slug games that, you know, hopefully you guys can hear me okay and that's not too loud. I'm going to pause it really quick. Let me lower that just a tiny bit. So for Metal Slug games, I like to throw out the disclaimer that Neo Geo naturally had some slowdown, and sometimes those are seen in the boards when we're playing it. It's not, most of the time it's not the emulation, it's actually just the fact that that's how those games played on the original hardware. There's a little bit of like, I don't know if you can notice it, there's a tiny bit of screen tearing from time to time. But I did want to kick over, before we wrap it up, I did want to show you guys some... I want to show you guys some Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat has some interesting things on here. So let's go to that, because I know that's going to be a game a lot of you guys are going to want to play. So I think Mortal Kombat, let's see, where are the Mortal Kombats? See, this is where we're going to test out our search function. So we'll go to fighting. think it's fighting. Yeah, we'll go to fighting, and we got to find Mortal Kombat. Tons of King of Fighters. If you're King of Fighters fans, there's more than enough King of Fighters. And like I said, there's a lot of duplicates on these things, so just keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, you know, the Rexer Show mentioned it. You know, you got to be careful with, if you really don't like stretched aspect ratio, like that's what you're going to get, you know what I mean? So just, you know that going in, like this isn't going to be for you if you're more someone that wants it than the standard aspect ratio. I prefer the standard, but for someone that's buying something like this to casually hook it up to their TV, maybe play with kids or whatever, maybe it doesn't matter, you know? All right, that's kind of a personal preference thing too. So, all right, I'll check out Mortal Kombat 1. Now, the interesting thing is Mortal Kombat 1 actually plays at full speed on this guy, the Pandora's Box 6. However, it does not here. It's actually almost unplayable here, so I don't really want to show you that, but I'll bring it up for giggles. It just doesn't play well on here. That's what I don't understand. So if you're wicked into Mortal Kombat, you want to make sure Mortal Kombat gets you the best experience, you're probably not going to want this board, just because it doesn't play Mortal Kombat 1 very well, and you'll see here in a second. Now, I suck at Mortal Kombat, but actually having it be slow and delayed actually makes me a tad bit better. So, so cool. All right. Yeah, you guys can already see the delay, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, these buttons are mapped weird. All right, so obviously MK, no good. But this is the interesting thing. There's a lot of games that do run well. I'm probably picking some pretty bad ones, but we'll go back to MK in a minute because I want to try to keep this to about 25 minutes. So I'm gonna go back to MK in a minute, but I'm gonna do Punisher really quick because I know Punisher's been a pretty hot game lately, just because of, you know, when Arcade 1-Up made that cabinet of it, it kind of, I think, like brought up people's like interest in the game, because the Punisher was one of those games where I don't know, it just wasn't, it should have been a lot more popular, and I think it came back. It was really, at the time, it was actually a rather dark game. Like, there's a scene in it where, like, you know, you basically point blank shoot someone in the head. So I think at the time there's a little bit of controversy around the game. It was ported to Sega Genesis. I actually say that a lot in different videos because I actually enjoyed the Sega Genesis version for what it was. The graphics obviously are not as good, but they did a pretty good job representing the game on the Genesis. But, you know, you'll notice these side-scrollers, there's a bunch of them on here, and they all run really well. But, you know, I just don't want you guys to have this expectation that this is, like, the most amazing Pandora's Box, because I think there's a lot better ones than this one. But, hey, you know what? For the price, it might not be bad if it's something you want. But, again, is this my favorite one? Absolutely not. It's probably on my list of the ones I like the least. Pandora's Box 6 still holds a pretty good place for me because it does a pretty good job. Oh, hey, we got Wicked Gamer in here right now. So you got the Pandora's Box man himself, so he can tell you all about what he feels about this one. But yeah, so I'm gonna go over one more game real quick, and I'll also glance at the chat, see if you guys have any questions in there. But I'm gonna go over to, I want to show you some interesting things that I found on this board, where on the Mortal Kombat front, because there's like it's Mortal Kombat 2, but it almost seems like it's not the Genesis version. It might be the Genesis version, but it might also be the 32X version. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and play them. I own both, but I can't actually remember. Let me see. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find Mortal Kombat now. This is why you need Wicked's video, because he goes through and tells you all the numbers and what they are. Now I'm not going to be able to find it. All right. I thought I wrote it down, and I didn't. See? What the heck? One of you guys, if you see me go by it, let me know what number it is, because I'm sure oh, here it is. Okay, so Mortal Kombat 2. I think this Mortal Kombat 2 version is either the 32X or the Genesis version. Wicked might know. But, yeah, this isn't necessarily the... And this actually plays halfway decent. But, you know, this isn't my favorite Pandora's Box, so... The buttons aren't bad, but you can swap them out super easy. I was going to actually do a whole episode on swapping out the buttons, because, let's see, I'm trying to figure out what buttons are which here. Hold on. Ah, damn it. So, Yeah, the buttons are actually okay. They're not bad. And actually the stick is actually not bad either. I would maybe put a different spring in it if you're going to play fighting games with it. But yeah, no, it's not bad. You got to remember what it is, right? I'm wicked cheap right now. I know I'm cheap right now, but I don't care. Oh, 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 oh. All right. So anyways, that's kind of Mortal Kombat 2, and then there's even Mortal Kombat 4 on here, but Mortal Kombat 4 is that's a game that does not play well under emulation at all. So just know, like, that's not going to play well here. It is on here. This is a game I didn't really ever play. I never got into Mortal Kombat 4, but it's got various different issues under emulation. The real way to play this game is going to be with the real hardware. It actually just doesn't look good under emulation usually. There's a bunch of like artifacting and issues. I'll play it. I'm not good at this game at all, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, the games are a bit laggy. Like I said, this isn't going to be the best Pandora's Box stick. I especially if I was building an arcade from it, I definitely wouldn't use this one. This almost seems like they have frame skip on. It seems like faster than I remember it being, but again, I wasn't like a huge fan of this game. So there you have it, guys. This is the Pandora's Box. Yeah, 9S Plus. So I personally love the Pandora's Box 3D. I also like the Pandora's Key 7. I'm not a huge fan of this, actually. I would consider this one a pass, but if you're just looking for something that's like a cheap fight stick to have some fun with, there are options. I'm going to go back to the table here, the table camera. But there are some options where you can, upgrade these things. So you can easily add a new, like I said, you can add a different board. If you don't like the main board, you can actually put in the Pandora's Box 6. You could put in a different board if you want. It is easy enough to change these buttons. These buttons actually just pop out. So you actually would grab both sides of this and you just pop it. I'm probably not going to be able to do it without like a little bit of help from a screwdriver, but basically you just grab both ends and you can... Shoot, I'm not going to be able to get it. It's actually very simple, though. If I had a screwdriver, you just grab one end and pop it out, and then you could pop the button out if you needed to. But the buttons are actually halfway decent. I wouldn't really do that. But, yeah, that is, for all intents and purposes, the Pandora's Box 9S Plus. And like I said, it is a clone of this guy right here. It's a clone of the 6. My buddy Wicked Gamer and Collector, who is in the chat right now, has a whole video on this. I'm going to actually link his video below in the description, which actually shows you a full games list. Now, again, like I said, this was something where Tom Top wanted me to review it. I'm not a big fan of like doing a lot of these reviews because this isn't something I necessarily wanted to review. So I'm going to definitely start to, I'll weave in more Pandora's Box stuff, but the stuff I want to show you guys. So I do have a part 2 coming on that Pandora's 3D saga. I really like that board. I'm a big fan of it. We showcased it at the end of the One Up Weekly live stream with Justin. I really, really like that board. I'm still trying to get my feelers out for it. So for those of you that were on that live stream, though, remember how I couldn't find a way to actually get Dreamcast games to work? Well, come to find out, it's because it was shipping with like a 64 gig card that was almost full. So it doesn't give you an error saying like the SD card is almost full. So basically what I did, I went and bought a 128 gig card. I just simply copied all the files over, and then I was able to go to the store and download. Now that's, as Wicked would say, that's the naughty store. Definitely you're not, it's not licensed stuff, so it's a little shady, but yeah, you can download the games and they do work. Now, one thing I'm going to do for the video is I haven't gone back and looked at that Pandora's 3D Saga board and see if I can manually add Dreamcast games. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to since you can download them, but I want to see if maybe you can add the games, from your selection. So in summary though, it doesn't necessarily have what Wicked would call the Wicked Wiggle stick. It's actually not bad. The stick isn't terrible, but I hate the circular gate. I'm not a fan of the circular gate. You guys can't see it. Hold on. Whoop. Circular gate. Circular gate. Ooh. All right. No one wants a circular gate. Okay. Anyways, real quick, is there anything that you guys want to see me do a review on or take a look at, just us, right? literally no agenda, just us taking a look at something. If there is something specifically you want to showcase or something you want us to look at, put it in the chat right now, and I'll take a look at that and maybe get to it in a future episode. So I'm actually going to be off at this work conference next week, which really sucks. So next week I won't be able to do any lunchtime live streams, and I'll probably only be able to publish a video or two, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm going to try to do my best to have some content teed up that I developed this weekend so that we're not just like sitting here with no content. That would suck, man. So anyways, I appreciate you guys joining. I love doing these lunchtime live streams. I have a lot of fun with these. Next one we'll do won't be a sponsored one, so we'll kind of be able to go off the rails a little bit more. I try to control and tame RetroRalph a bit when we do these. Although we did get that English accent, you know what? I'm gonna actually talk you out with that accent. Hold on. All right, here we go. Ready? Thank you for joining this episode of Lifestyles of the Rich and Retro. As you can see, this is the most superior Pandora's box ever released, ever. There's no issues with it whatsoever. It's got the best wiggle sticks, the best buttons, and by golly, we really like it here at RetroRalph. So thank you so much for joining. We will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.